for the players.
I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And this is For the Players, the PopCulturists PlayStation podcast. Over 40 years of playing PlayStation and 6+ years in that games media combined. I want to thank you for joining us in this PlayStation conversation.
This PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. in podcast services including Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you'd like to take part in future conversations, please check out our socials: Facebook, Discord, Instagram, Twitter. All our links in the description below.
If you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopculturists where you can watch us record this show live. If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation pod. If you are listening to us on podcast services, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. Or if you are on the YouTube, why don't give us a like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. If you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopculturists, as well as our merchandise store, popculturists.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. How has your week been, Max?
Ha! What a week. We've all been sick, so this is obviously why I'm recording from home. I had to go and get a COVID test done this week because I didn't want to subject my child to getting one, and my wife currently can't get one because she has no
face, no nose.
She's got nothing in her sinuses for them to swab because of her wisdom teeth being ripped out. So I took one for the team and went and got swabbed in all the wrong places.
Hot.
I'm COVID free, so yay. I wasn't overly concerned that I had it, but better to be safe than sorry. I thought maybe I could be the one to break Victoria's streak. I'm glad that I wasn't.
Yeah, it's a good thing to not be that guy.
Turns out it was just a runny nose.
It's good.
But yeah, it has been a rough week.
Yeah.
This is like the first time my kid's really been sick. And she's still drinking bottles, but because her nose is blocked, she can't drink and breathe. So she just chokes and throws up. She's like Exorcist style projectile vomiting at one point. It was nasty. And I'm like, I asked all my parent friends, I'm like, hey, what can I do? And he's like, well, one of my mates once sucked the snot out of their kid's nose. I'm like, nah, I'm good, thanks. I'd prefer to not do that.
Damn. Yeah,
but apparently that's a thing. When I called the doctors like, yeah, if you've got like, for lack of a better term, one of those turkey basters, you could just suck the snot out of her nose. I'm like, no, it seems a bit.
Well, you can't. No. It's too little to get your finger up in there. So like they have little bulbs that you go, like yank snot out of schnozzes. You know what I mean? Because you shouldn't like get up in there. But like if you set breathing that hard, like it's that difficult, it certainly wouldn't be a bad idea.
But she's fine now. Some Panadol kind of cleared her nose up and brought her temperature down. My main concern was my wife getting sick because she's not allowed to blow her nose because she's got no sinus lining from the removal of her wisdom teeth.
Ugh.
But turns out she got sicker than all of us combined, so that sucked.
Probably because of the fighting immune system for having her teeth yanked out.
Yeah. What about your week? How was your week?
Speaking of keeping the temperature down, I'm having a bit of problem with my PS5 this week, Max.
Have you tried baby Panadol? It works pretty well.
I would love to put some baby Panadol into my PlayStation, but all right, bury the lead. I'm having my PS5 is broken. It has to go back. So my PS5 is currently overheating. I spent a couple of days ago. I had an issue where I was playing. It was like, hey, your PS5's too loud. Too hot. Probably should turn it off. I'm like, that's fucking weird. So I opened up the windows and did all that crap, and because I forget that in this room there's acoustic treatment everywhere, so it traps heat. But aircon on, fans, everything, right? And it kind of calmed down. It wasn't really a problem. Then it's sort of appearing again and again. So yesterday, at time of recording, which was the Friday, I went to work. I left my PlayStation in rest mode all day, came home, turned her on, jumped into Miles Morales, and 10 minutes later, hey, it's too hot. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So here I am thinking that, my PlayStation's got a heating problem. 2, I'm like, well, maybe there's a problem with rest mode. Maybe there's something that can be patched later on. It's like rest mode is running. Maybe the PlayStation thinks that it's running at full ball for some reason. Maybe that's the issue. So I turned it off. Left it off for about an hour and a half. I went and watched SmackDown. Came back, same thing. Obviously wasn't enough time to dissipate all the heat. That's understandable. So I took the side panels off. I unplugged it. I sat it there open for 8 hours. Went to bed, woke up 8 hours later, went, all right, let's try it again. Plug it back in, put the panels back on, play Miles Morales. I get about 45 minutes in, bam, it's too hot again. It wants to turn off. Now, granted, at no point has it shut itself down, but it's actively like, you should probably turn me off because the fan's kicking in, but obviously it's not doing enough. It's a bit of it's an issue. So I ran a bunch of different tests. I tried less demanding games. I tried running it in 1080p instead of 4K. Tried a bunch of different options, and it's still a persistent issue. So this morning, I got in contact with PlayStation Direct. And we're like, hey man, my console is overheating and da-da-da-da-da. This was on the back of speaking to EB Games, who I purchased the console through. And they're like, look, best course of action, go to Sony Direct. We can still go through us, but we can't do anything until Monday. And even then, we will be talking to Sony anyway. Give it a bell. Why not? So I did. Contact them. Yeah. And then the woman I'd spoke to, now granted, it's a Saturday at time of recording when I made that phone call. So, working out of traditional hours. And I'm pretty sure with COVID, she was working at home because it sounded a lot like a lounge room. I didn't have that call center sound to it, which was interesting. But talking to this woman, it's understandable that she's just a call center worker. She didn't know all the ins and outs. So here I am talking about heat sinks and all the things that I've done and da-da-da-da-da-da. And she's like, I'll be back with you in 2 minutes. She leaves, comes back, and she's like, here are the troubleshooting lists. Make sure there's no dust in it. I'm like, I've had it for a week.
You're like, it's fresh out of the box.
It's literally out of the box. There's no dust in there. But okay, sure. I did that. I did it anyway, but previously. I'm like, yeah, sure, there's no dust in there. And she's like, oh, well, we need to make sure the PlayStation doesn't think that it's running hot when in fact it isn't. I'm like, no, it is noticeably warm to the touch. It is you can feel it along the side.
You're like, I cooked my bacon and eggs on it this morning.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about, making some really clickbaity names for this video. I was going to call, like PS5 burnt my hand, wife and child. Really exaggerate it. Or, my PS5's so hot, my wife left me, for the PlayStation. Just things like that. But yeah, in short, it is noticeably warm to the touch. It's not boiling. You're like, ooh, you're warm. But it's pumping out a bit of heat. So even if I have a big air conditioning thingy in here, which you've seen, Maxwell portable air conditioner, have that sitting in front of it, pumping air into it, and it still has the problem. So I'm pretty confident that either the heatsink's fucked or maybe some of the thermo's fucked in there, or the liquid metal. I'm pretty confident it would be the heatsink, because the liquid metal is probably more reliable. Because in the entire time I had my PS4,
unless you didn't get any liquid metal at all.
Yeah, it's just
she's just dry in there,
metal on metal. I only ever had this issue once with my PS4 Pro, and that was when I was playing Ghost of Tsushima. And then I took it to our good friend Ethan. He pulled it apart, rethermed it, smacked it back together, and it was fine. Now, the difference here is, A, I just bought this console, so I'm not going to go pull it apart. I'm not going to modify it. And 2, it's using liquid metal, so I can't even go replace it if I wanted to. So in short, I lodged an official return and replacement with Sony directly. So they sent me all the information. I then have to factory reset my console, box it up, send it on to them, and then ideally I'll get a new one whenever. The difficulty is, who knows if they have any? I presume they have to have some for replacements, right?
I can tell you, coming up shortly in the news story, Mr. Jim Ryan himself said they've sold out of everything everywhere.
Yeah, and that's my concern. So I'm sitting here thinking, what the fuck am I going to do? I've got games that I've been given to review that I can't do anything with. Our good friend Kat at Capcom, she sent us DMC. I can't play it now. I'm like, what do I do? So I'm like, fuck. It's honestly, it's not like we run a very specific PlayStation related platform. You know what I mean? It's like, what do I do? So yeah, and on top of that, because my console is purple now, which side note doesn't void warranty. If it hasn't caused any additional effects to the console, it's because it's purely cosmetic. Unlike Max's, which I couldn't return if we wanted to because it's hunks and shit taken out of it, mine is just colored. However, to be sure, to be safe, I am going to visit our good friend Paul James, and we're swapping. He's going to borrow my purple plates for a little while, so I can return it with the white, and then we'll swap them back when the time comes. Yeah, so that's the hurdle. So like this, I don't know what to do now, Max. I don't know what to do.
That's rough, man.
It's so rough.
I must admit, I haven't had any of these problems. Like, you know, I've been reading articles and you know, everyone's like, stay away from rest mode. I am exclusively using rest mode with no issues. I'm not getting any crazy. I've yet to be shut down from too hot. It's not sluggish when I power it back on. Mm-hmm. Most of my games instantaneously start where I was at when I put it in rest mode. The only issues being like when I'm playing Destiny or Demon Souls, it has a whinge that I disconnected from the internet.
Yeah, like so first couple of days I was using rest mode without a concern. Like there was a couple of days there, you know, it's been like a week and a half, couple of days with no issue at all. And it's only within the last couple of days. And like nothing has changed. Like it's here and you've seen my setup. If you want to go check it out, Twitter handle below, I can show photos of where my PS5 is, etc. Like it's in an open window, like an open spot. Like it's not like it's crammed in a shelf or anything. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. But yeah, like it's a weird space because like a friend of the show, Jerdman, one of my fellow Manshake ambassadors, he has kindly offered me to lend his PS5 in the interim. Now he himself is a big Xbox guy. He's the Xbox Games Pass ambassador. So for him, he's like, I'm probably not going to play anyway. I bought it because I could. So there's that is options. So that might cover me in the interim. But as Jess in the chat says, maybe just give a heads up to PR companies and let them know what happened. I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to email Kat because we've got obviously Demon Souls and Sackboy, which we received from PlayStation, so I probably should let them know the review on that's not coming for a little while. Thankfully, I think we're pretty much covered in terms of everything else. We've kind of done a bit content here and there, so it shouldn't destroy the content pipeline too much. But it suddenly becomes more reliant on Max.
I mean, I finished Demon Souls this week. So
I finished Miles Morales this week, so you know we'll be in a good place there. But yeah, that's been my week. My last couple of days have been really focused on like on my PS5 and like trying to make it work, and it is very worrying. Because like looking around the internet, there's not a lot of reports about overheating PS5, which is nice to know. It's good to know that it's not a sort of an ongoing or recurring issue, which is good, very, very good. So it seems to be very small cases. Like people are talking about it, you know, getting the screen or rest mode being a problem, but there is a sense of comfort knowing that it might just be me. It's very unlucky, you know what I mean? Like it could happen to anyone, but it happened to big PlayStation fan. You know, like,
yeah, you know, all you had to do was be one place behind in line to pick up your console, and you might have been fine.
I might have been fine. Here I was pushing to be like first, 3 or 4 in Geelong to get one, and I should have been like 5th. You know, it's very bizarre, and it's real weird. And because I played Miles Morales, and I thought that game is probably incredibly demanding. I will scale it back. I'll put it in 1080. Same problem. All right, well, let's change games. Let's put Bug Snacks in. Bug Snacks in no way looks like it pushes the PS5 in anything. Same thing. Complete problem. The answer is I don't know. My PS5 is now essentially unusable until I get a new one. Looks like the PS4 Pro's coming out of retirement.
How you gonna break that news to your son after you gave it to him? You're like, oh, sorry, son. I'm just gonna take this one back. Thank you.
Yeah, he's 4, so he's not gonna like understand reason. Like, because he was with me last night as I was playing Miles Morales. Because I'll talk about it shortly, but I finished the campaign and I'm just collecting all the extra side shit, and then it shits the bed. And he's like, "Can we keep playing?" I'm like, "No, the console's too hot, buddy." He's like, "Is it cool now? Can't we play now?" I'm like, "No, mate." So he fucks off for like 4 minutes and then comes back. He's like, is it cool yet? I'm like, no. So he doesn't quite understand, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
But anyway, Max, I can at least discuss what I've been playing. So I've played a couple of things before everything pooed itself. So Max, but what have you been playing this week?
So the majority of my game time this week has been split pretty much equally between Destiny 2 Beyond Light, Demon Souls, which I got credits for, and Astro's Playroom.
You have been going to town.
So I'll start with Astro. So I pumped out the platinum on Astro's Playroom a little earlier this week. I used a little bit of the PlayStation helper system that they've introduced. And then I also had good friend Noodle help me with the last couple of ones that they just weren't playing nicely. So he came in and gave me a hand. The new picture-in-picture mode is quite useful. Good to know. And then the rest... Yeah, and then the rest of my week has been just grinding out those time trials in the CPU Speedway. And I've been knocked out of top 100 in all of my scores now. I was at my peak top 35, and I'm now back out of 100. People are just getting too damn quick.
Well, and plus when you get too quick, it comes down to like the 100th of a millisecond and stuff. And
yeah. So
like
it's rough, but I'm currently top of my friends list, and that's all that matters to me, I guess.
Yeah, everyone else can suck it, I guess, and that's
so I think my overall time against like all 4 of the speedruns, I'm a good 7 seconds ahead of the next closest person to me. So that's all right. That's fun.
I can't beat you, so. I'm in the same boat. I finished up. So I did get credits for Astrobot last week. That game is absolutely fantastic, as I mentioned. Did we discuss it last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't remember. I've been on like 2 other pods this week talking about PS5. So
it's been a week.
Yeah. So the game is fantastic, as we discussed. It's a perfect history. It's a perfect showcase for PS5, especially if you've been playing for 20-something years and you're feeling the love. So the platinum was pretty easy. I enjoyed it. There were a couple of things that I needed to grab, and one of them was a couple of puzzle pieces here and there I just couldn't work out how to get. But other than that, it was pretty straightforward. Because like collecting all the artifacts, etc., was pretty easy. Like you just sort of found them as you were going along, so you were never sort of really out of your way. The only thing I did disappoint by, I didn't like. There's a trophy for picking up the platinum trophy in the labo, and I was like, fuck, I really wish I made that the platinum. Instead, I'm sitting in a fountain, but like that would have been cool. Just be like, hey, picture platinum.
My platinum picture is me sitting at a bus stop.
Oh, you got that one, undercover one. Nice.
Yeah,
but that game is absolutely fantastic.
Avoiding the rain.
I haven't tried the speed runs yet. I'm garbage at speed runs. I don't have the skill and or patience, so I probably won't give it a bell. But well done, man. That's been very impressive. How are you finding Destiny 2? So after talking last week about having some issues with it being down for maintenance and 2 sort of not really hitting the beats you wanted, how's it going now? Because the raid's released, yeah?
The raid released either this morning or tomorrow morning, depending, because timing's a bit different for here in Australia. I'm pretty sure it was this morning at like 3 a.m. So I have now finished the main campaign of Beyond Light. I saw that through to fruition. It is awesome. Yeah. I am so back into Destiny now. I'm back on the grind. I'm now in that middle section where I've beaten the story stuff, and I'm not high enough light to do the end game content. So I'm in that grinding limbo of just going through the motions of getting stuff done. I'm really enjoying it. The new stasis powers that they've given to each of the 3 classes have completely changed the way I play them. It feels so new and fresh. So I'm really excited to dive in. Hopefully I can find a new raid group, because currently none of my friends have got Beyond Light.
What I do love though,
they're all on this long hiatus of playing. So I'm very much keen to see where they're taking it, because they've just released I believe it's the Season of the Hunt stuff just recently came out with the weekly reset. So there's similar to what they brought out in the last one with the Menagerie and the Chalice, you have a cryptograph that you can go on hunts with. You fill it so you get specific gear drops that you want, and then you go out and hunt monsters in a very similar to Monster Hunter style. You literally follow like green pools of blood along the levels until you find where the monster is hiding, and then as you're killing that one, a bigger, more deadly dude rocks up, and you've got to kill him to.
I'll be right back.
It's been really, really fun. They've added a new way to get the new exotics. You can they've made their
sorry, I just opened the door. It's a bit toasty.
They've revamped their lost sectors, so they now have like legendary and heroic versions of lost sectors that guarantee or almost guarantee high-end exotic drops for the new exotics. So I'm just doing that. I'm at a point where I can't progress through my new stasis tree until I get a specific exotic, but there is a quest line to get that specific exotic, so I'm working towards that so I can continue on down that path, and it's been really fun.
Well, this is great. So like from last week, you were like you weren't like
I was a little bummed because I got gate kept pretty hard at the start because there is a massive power jump that you need to hit straight away. But it didn't take me too long to hit it. I spent maybe an hour doing strikes and stuff like that. I got the gear that I needed, and then I just pushed through. I played a little bit more patiently than I normally would. Played it smart, and then it's been rad. I've been playing it almost exclusively this week. I've dipped my toe in other stuff, but most of the time I'm on Destiny.
I'm glad they had that turn.
It's been so fun.
Yeah, because I know being a bit of a Destiny, like you ground pretty hard a couple of months back, and you're like really into it. And you sort of took a step away, knowing Beyond Light was coming. So it's good that you're getting what you wanted from it. That's fantastic. Awesome. I myself, I have. Excuse me. I went pretty hard on Miles Morales.
Yep.
So I completed that this week. That game is absolutely fantastic. To add to my thoughts last week about how the story is full of heart and family, and that is 100% true. That is still the case. Even at the end of the game, I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. You just really get that feel, that warm family feel from it, and just this whole like lovely cultural feel. So you spend a lot of time in Harlem, which is the area that Miles moves to after leaving. Where is he in New York? Either way, he lives in Harlem now. And, obviously he's surrounded by people of his descent, Puerto Rican descent and African American, that sort of area. So it's really cool because the game sort of starts off with you're like, oh, you're the other Spider-Man. And then as you progress and you start really helping those individuals within that area, it becomes a situation of, oh no, you're our Spider-Man. The other Spider-Man has Manhattan. Harlem has you. And like it's really awesome. Like that, as that sort of like that warmth fills up, and you're like, yeah, man, like this is the energy that I want. It feels really good. Speaking of energy,
so he's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man for Harlem.
Yeah, the friendly hood Spider-Man, I guess, because isn't that what, like
the friendly hood?
Yeah, I don't know. No, it's fantastic. I cannot really fault it. Like everything I loved about the original Spider-Man, I'm loving here again. Miles has a completely different, like he plays almost identically, but then has the added bonuses of the Venom strikes or the Venom maneuvers. You got like the punch and a strike and a whip, and those are the little things he can do. We kind of like jolts at someone and big ground and pounds. It's awesome, fantastic.
So I'm confused. Every time I hear you use the term Venom, I'm assuming like
it's very confusing.
Does he have the symbiote?
No, it's
like,
not the symbiote.
Is that why?
The only reference we have of the symbiote, for not spoilers currently, is that at the end of the first game you see Osborn.
Norman.
No, Norman Osborn. Yeah, Osborn. Yeah, I had a brain.
It's Osborn. You had it right.
Oh yeah, Oswald Cobblepot.
I'm like, who's Oswald? What do you got?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I broke my own brain for a second. Osborn. You find out that his son, Harry, is in like a fucking tank like Luke Skywalker, but with the symbiote. So that one's showing him getting all symbioted. But yeah, no connection to Miles and the Venom unless it's a hint to the next game, which would be mad. But it's fantastic. I really, really, really enjoyed it. So now that my PS5's out of commission and I can't play, I'll have to run this over to you so you can spend your time with it as well. It's cool. Like the suit range is fun. They've simplified the amount, like the tokens. So you know how previously there was like 11 tokens, a bunch for different things. Now it's pretty much like there's tech tokens and activity tokens, and that's it. So you get tech tokens from tech caches, and the activities you get from doing activities. So it's like all the challenge, but what would be the speedball challenges have been replaced with training little hologram thingies. So Pete's like, hey, although I'm not here, I can still train you to be Spider-Man. Here's a setup. What we need you to do is we need you to take out X amount of people as quick as you possibly can, or we need you to be stealthy, or we need you to do your web trick, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So there's little moments of like, here's traversal, here's combat, here's stealth. So yeah, that's how you get the sort of activity tokens. And then there's the bases are simplified as well. So rather than having like a stack of bases everywhere, it's like, hey, there's 3 construction sites. There are 3 Roxxon labs, or as an example, like there's this, there, and there's only like 3 of each. Saying that though, rather than getting like 2 tokens or a token, you get like 10 tokens, 8 tokens. Like you get quite a substantial amount. So very quickly you can get enough to cash in and get the suits you want, or the skills you want, or the upgrades that you want. So I've already smashed the skills. The only skills I have left to obtain are 3 that are only available in New Game Plus. So compared to the original one, where I didn't have to play New Game Plus to get the platinum, I'm going to need to play New Game Plus to get it here. Where there are trophies combined to running it, playing the whole game in New Game Plus, finishing it New Game Plus, getting certain collectibles in New Game Plus, getting certain skills that are only available in New Game Plus. So that's kind of but like, seeing as the campaign itself is really like 8 to 10 hours. Like that's what I say about 10 hours, but it's because I spent a lot of time fuck-assing around doing collectible things. So I'm not entirely sure what the exact time is, but it was sort of less than I anticipated, which is good.
Yeah.
Or even less comparative to the original. But for that reason, having to run through the game again doesn't seem like a hurdle. So if I drop it down to easy on New Game Plus, I'll be able to clear it out nice, and I'll be able to skip all cutscenes. Like bam, I should be done probably in a couple of hours once my PS5 works again. But like in order to do that though, with the increased skill range with the venom attacks, etc., and also taking advantage of the console, be able to run at a faster frame rate, or at just a faster pace in general, the combat can seem a lot harder. Like there are moments where I would normally just be like boom, 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 where I'm start getting the shit kicked out of me.
Yeah,
because they have the the different range of enemies. You've got like the Roxxon enemies and like the underground enemies, and how they fight is very different. And they use similar skill sets, but different skill sets. They hit you in different ways. So there is a little bit of that, and it's like, oh man, like it can really like there's Roxxon dudes with shields, but the shields absorb the venom energy. So if you try to Hadouken your way through it, that is like and then they just push the energy back at you and you get fucked up. So like there is like where if you go to the underground, they're sort of weak to the venom. So they have like their weaponry, you punch it and it breaks apart. They're like Hulk Buster gloves and like their big swords and shit. They get destroyed under the venom power. So you can't become reliant on one or the other. It's pretty cool. I like it. I do like it a lot. But yeah, well, I'm very keen on what you have to say. So I'll run this over to you probably this evening because I don't fucking know.
Cool.
I got no PS5 to play. What am I gonna do?
That sucks, man.
It does suck. I'm gonna keep saying it this whole time because all day I'm just like, ah.
Yeah, that's rough.
It's rough, man.
Yeah, so I got credits on Demon Souls this week. Mm-hmm. So that took me the better part of 40-ish hours.
Wow.
Because I got super hard stuck in one of the levels because with the ridiculousness of Demon Souls' world tendency, every time you die in human form in a world, the world becomes closer to the dark tendency, which makes everything harder. And then you're already dying because it's hard enough, and then they're like, we're going to make it even more harder, and they put stronger enemies in, and enemies that don't normally exist there start spawning in. And it was rough. I got stuck there for like a good 10 hours trying to get past 3 dudes. It was just 3 black phantoms that kept spawning in the same area. And I just, for the life of me, could not get past them. Ended up getting past them. Spent about an hour and a half on the last boss trying to remember how his attack pattern was before getting, chopped constantly. Went back, learned some new magic spells, went in there with a spell that basically it's called warding. Basically, puts a shield around me. So instead of running a sword and a shield, I just two-handed my sword and just ran in there. So I'm like, I've got a shield spell on. Who gives a crap? Cut loose. Managed to fluke my way to victory, and now I'm doing the New Game Plus stuff to wrap up the rest of the trophies. But damn, that game is a lot harder than I remember. I think for my New Game Plus run, I'm going to run it in the fractured world. So I'm going to run it in, basically they horizontally flip the entire world. Just to, keep me on my toes. Make it harder than it already is.
But so having played Demon's Souls on the PS3 and being such a big fan of it, how is it playing comparatively? I imagine extremely better.
So it plays a lot better because in the PlayStation 3 version, it didn't have a solid FPS. Mm-hmm. It was very fluctuating depending on what was on the screen at the time. In here, we are getting that solid 60 frames per second. They didn't remove any of the enemy bullshit. They can still hit you through a wall, but if your sword hits a wall, you kind of go chunk, and then you bounce back. The amount of times I've been killed by spears coming through walls is just ridiculous. Obviously, it looks absolutely fantastic compared to what it did on the PlayStation 3. I did have to fiddle a bit with my graphical settings. I found that when it automatically turned the HDR on, the world became very dark to the point where it was almost impossible to see some enemies in some areas. And
that's because the dynamic of the color is quite high. The range is high.
I'd get jacked by invisible dudes. But having that stable FPS, I think, is really important, especially in how precise some of the combat can be. So they've I said it last week and I'll say it again. Bluepoint have done a fantastic job with this remaster, and I think they've done the original game justice.
Yeah. So on the rumor mill, might I add, it looks as if that PlayStation or Sony may be doing exactly what they should be doing, and they are looking into buying Bluepoint. I heard a bit of that this week. Something that we've certainly speculated on, and we're not in no way we're the only ones that were like, PlayStation should buy Bluepoint. Fuck yeah, they should buy Bluepoint. A blind and deaf person could tell you that probably needs to happen.
Yeah. And then for the better part of a week, they added a new door into Demon's Souls that never existed. And this morning, at time of recording, someone worked out how to get through it. So I believe it was a speedrunner. Spent the better part of his week working out what it was, and it turns out that you need 30 specific item drops from the fractured world. You can only get them from the fractured world from a single enemy.
26 coins given to some bird, and the bird gives you a key, and then you go there and it opens, and then there's the armor in there or something.
Yeah, so it's one of the boss armor sets.
Shout out!
So I'm gonna have to do that because well, I got stuck. There's an NPC that teaches you high-level magic spells using the boss souls. Mm-hmm. And in the original game, she was protected by what they refer to as fat officials. That's the enemy name. And now in the original game, in the original game, all you needed was their headpiece. Because when you put on their headpiece, it played an audio cue of their laughter. And the person would lower the stairs for you so you could go up and see the prisoner. In the remaster, you need the entire gear set. And I'm standing there for the better part of an hour going, why isn't he letting the stairs down? This is bullshit. Took to Reddit, worked out that I did need all of the set pieces, went back, killed the rest of the guys, got all their gear, dressed up, worked perfectly fine. All of that for one spell. I just wanted one spell to help finish the game.
Was it worth it?
And oh yeah, It's the most broken spell in the game to the point where they nerfed it in every other every other Dark Souls game for the rest of its life cycle. It was so ridiculously powerful.
Not too sure.
But yeah, that's been fun. And lastly, Devil May Cry.
Yep,
dove back into that this week. I've realized that because we got provided a code for the special edition thanks to Turn Left Distribution. I dove straight into the Virgil story because Virgil's the new playable character. And then it's been about a year and a half since I played Devil May Cry 5, and I don't remember Virgil's role in the story, and I feel like I need to play the way it was intended first before playing Virgil because I can't remember anything that's going on.
You've now gone back?
So I've gone back and started again using the other characters. So it trickle feeds me what Virgil's role was in that story, and then I can play his story from his perspective, because it was very confusing to begin with. But that's my own fault, not the game's fault.
Yeah. Well, so I'm gonna have to email Turn Left, be like, "Hey, man, here's Max's review." I guess.
So yeah. Other than that, not much.
Pardon me. Yeah, not too bad. I shouldn't drink kombucha when we do the show, man. This burps like just crazy. Anyway, that's about what we've been playing. Let's get into the section we call Inform the Players. We tell you about what happened this week in PlayStation. So comparatively, Max, a lot more went down inside of the news this week for the PlayStation. Like with last week being launched, it was pretty quiet, pretty like tidy. However, now more has happened.
So let's kick things off with PS5 news and what Sony's response to Games Pass could be. So speaking with a Russian media outlet TLOU, Jim Ryan was asked about Sony's response to Xbox's Game Pass or Microsoft's Game Pass. His reply, quote, "There is actually news to come, just not today." Earlier this year, Jim Ryan had told GamesIndustry.biz, quote, "We are not going to go down the road of putting new release titles into a subscription model. These games cost many millions of dollars, well over $100 million to develop, and we just don't see that as sustainable." There's also been some PS Plus collection news. So in an interview with GQ, Jim Ryan has said that Sony will closely analyze how the scheme goes over before determining if more titles should be added. Quote, "Well, we're going to wait and see how the world receives the PlayStation Plus collection. You know which games are played, how much they are played, before we make any decision about that. We think it is potentially going to be a great user acquisition tool. Arguably, if you never had a PS4 and chose to buy a PlayStation 5, you basically get a PS4, right?"
So have you jumped into any of the PS Plus collection games?
I downloaded Days Gone. Days Gone? I played for about 2 hours. I'm not feeling it.
Have you not played it?
No, because I'd never played it on PS4, so I downloaded it. I played a couple of hours, and I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I don't know if it's really slow to start, and I'm just waiting for it to kick into gear. So for context, I'm really early. Boozer's been attacked, and he's asked me to go off without his shotgun. I'm like, that seems dangerous. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it hasn't drawn me in yet.
See, the game's great. I actually really, really enjoyed it, like, a lot. Like, it is a slow burn. The game is way longer than it needs to be. But that time you spend, you really start to connect with the characters, and you really see... it's a bit different now for you, because you're playing on what is essentially the Ultimate Edition of Days Gone. So playing it pre-launch and then in launch window, the game was rough as guts. It was very... like, in terms of performance... questionable, but since then they have done a lot of upgrades to it, which is fantastic. But yeah, as you play though, you can really see the It's almost like you can see the progression in Sony San Diego. No, wait, Ben Studio. Sony Ben. I was thinking they're Oregon. They're in Oregon. It's where the game set's where they live. I was thinking, like, is San Diego near Oregon? No, it's not. It's San Diego is guys that do baseball. So Ben Studio, right? Because they hadn't done a full big game since PS2, right? PS3. No, either way, long fucking time. PS2. So then, they come together. The last thing they did was like a Siphon Filter game. This wasn't, So, but as you play, you can really almost see like they've built the game as they've gotten better. Yeah. So the start of the game feels a little bit rough, a little bit, but then as you play more, you're like, okay, I can see you literally building on the game as you go. So like it feels completely different by the end. And like as the sort of seasons progress within the game, you're like, all right, cool. There is this nice little growth, and you start to understand, because like Deacon St. John is a really kind of initially shit character. Like he's really kind of cold. Be like, why the fuck are you so cold? Like you were just like a brooding asshole. And then as you play, you're like, oh no, I get it. And because
so I'll definitely stick with it, because I've heard nothing but pretty good things about it, and I am interested to see how it turns out. But initially, it is very slow to start.
Yeah, that is very, very much the case. So once you start upgrading the bike and stuff, everything feels like literally faster, and you feel like you're progressing more. And as you unlock more weapons, like hordes, and get involved in how you handle those zombies, or the freakers, are a bit different. But in terms of the PS Plus collection, like I went in and claimed a bunch of the games, like just because, like
I mean, I've claimed them all just in case.
I didn't claim all of them though. Like I didn't claim Mortal Kombat. I didn't claim like Fallout. It was like
is there a reason why you wouldn't claim them just because they're there? Like you don't have to download them, but you can claim them so you can download them at a later time.
That's very true. But like to sort of go with what Jim Ryan said is like they'll be able to see that data, and I'm like, I don't care about Mortal Kombat. And they're like, all right, well, if we're going to add more games, like maybe people don't want to download Mortal Kombat, or they can see who accepts it and then who downloads it. But for me, I was like, oh, I'm just going to get the ones I want. Like I'd love to play God of War at 60 frames. You know what I mean? I'd love to, get the platinum for Days Gone. Like I was pretty close to it. I just got distracted by other games. So I wouldn't mind. Well, at some point, going back and playing it and finishing that off. That would be amazing. And like it's a brilliant list of games. And if they're going to add to it, great. But like. Because we discussed a while ago, like, is the PS Plus collection the answer to Games Pass? And it may not be right now, but it could be from what they're saying here. And Jim Ryan has the right idea. Like, Games Pass is fantastic. It is a brilliant service, and it's the one thing that Microsoft has that Sony doesn't. Like, they cannot match it. PS Now isn't even available in every country. Like, we don't have it. But we have xCloud, you know what I mean? Like there's these weird little middle grounds that we don't have. But then on top of that as well, like we know that we talked about this fucking months and months ago, maybe a year ago now, that Sony were hiring for tech dudes in Adelaide to build a new little central server hub sort of thing. So as nothing has come out of that yet, either that's just more upkeep for potential demand for the PSN, or this is where their little local hub to support PS Now, which we haven't seen come to fruition yet, which is a bummer. But who the hell's ringing me from Ringwood? I don't know who that is.
And lastly, in the PS5 news, Ryan, it's sold out. Yeah. So according to Jim Ryan, speaking with the Russian outlet TASS, quote, absolutely everything is sold. I've spent much of the last year trying to be sure that we can generate enough demand for the product, and now in terms of my executive bandwidth, I'm spending a lot more time on trying to increase the supply to meet the demand. Funny that. People want the new shinies, Ryan.
Understandably. Now, apparently, according to, at least in the US, like there has been more PS5s available than Xboxes in terms of units shipped or units moved.
Yep. We're also hearing horror stories of Amazon not delivering their PlayStation 5s. They're just getting random other things, which is concerning.
Yeah, it's like here's a PlayStation equivalent of rice.
And then a lot more people have been getting the big boy PlayStation instead of their digital boxes.
Yeah, and then but like all the paperwork for the wrong console, and like you can clearly tell they were pushed to get this out.
Getting that free disc upgrade.
It's $150 saving, man. Like shout out to them.
I mean, no one's going to complain that they're getting free disc drive.
No one. But yeah,
hopefully.
To add to what we said before, that puts me in a tough space. I have to return my console now. Like I've got to send it back, and if they're like, "Well, we don't have any," I'm like, "Well, that's fucked." Like, how do you I don't know how I'm gonna have that conversation. I'm like, well, how do you not have returnable consoles? Like, well, we completely sold out. Like, yeah, but this is big consumer tech. You'd think you'd have a couple.
Yeah.
I don't know. I say that's all speculative. It's all hyperbolic right now because I don't know. I don't know.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Like, hopefully I'll find out within the next week. It's killing me. Now I'll jump into this one, Matt, because this is a big boy.
Yeah, I thought you'd enjoy this one.
All right, so leaks suck. Data breaches straight up suck. They do every time, and it sucks for the company that receives said breaches. However, with this one specifically, a lot of news came out. So Capcom had recently received a ransomware attack, and it seems as that their project schedule for the next upwards of 4 years has since been leaked. A screenshot of this document, which is in Japanese and is believably detailed, spills the news on a bunch of unannounced games. Now, no personal information was available on this because this data was then shipped to a dark web, deep web sort of listing, posting, something like that. So it's not like easily attainable, but there's no personal data. It just seems to be business data, which is still gross, but not as gross.
It still sucks.
It still sucks very hard. According to the leak, Capcom has plans for the following: Resident Evil Outrage, which is I don't know, like something. I think it's a multiplayer one that they're talking about. That's going to come in the back end of next year to Q4 2021.
I'll get to it once you're finished, actually.
So Dragon's Dogma 2, Q2 2022, Street Fighter 6, Q3 2022, Rocket Man, or Mega Man as we know it, so Rocket Man Match, which is expected to come out in Q3 2033. Hang on.
I got it. It's all good.
Oh, you
just keep doing this one.
Very nice. Resident Evil 4 Remake, Q4 2022. Awesome. Back end of next year. Back end of the year after, sorry. Monster Hunter 6, Onimusha New York, Biohazard Apocalypse, so that's presumably another Resident Evil there, Super Street Fighter 6, Final Fight, the remake, Power Stone remake, Ultra Street Fighter 6, which makes sense. They always add an Ultra version of Street Fighter, and the Resident Evil Hank. Don't know what that is, but shout out to Hank for getting his own game. Max, what's your thoughts on this list?
So it's my initial thoughts are it's interesting because there's listed stuff for both Resident Evil and Biohazard, which is intriguing because obviously Resident Evil is the Western name for the Biohazard series, like in Japan and stuff. So it's interesting that they've got separated names. So I wonder if that means there's going to be like smaller spin-off titles.
Sorry,
Dragon's Dogma 2 is really exciting. I really enjoyed the first one. We got 3 different versions of Street Fighter 6 over the course of 2 years. That seems pretty reliable. Tends to be what they do with their Ultra and Super Street Fighters. Resident Evil 4 Remake, I guess we kind of knew about already. There'd be rumors about that happening. The date of that kind of seems to fit with those rumors as well. A new Monster Hunter is obviously a no-brainer with going on the back of how successful Monster Hunter World was. Making a new one just makes sense.
It does.
Power Stone Remake, I'm super excited for because I remember playing that on the Dreamcast.
What's Power Stone? I didn't play that.
It's like one of those. It's kind of like an arena fighter sort of, similar to that of like Gauntlet. If you played Gauntlet Legends,
okay, it's
similar to that. But all of these games seem plausible. So the leak is rather believable. The only thing like I said before, it's interesting that they've got specifically Biohazard Apocalypse, but the rest are referred to as Resident Evil whatever.
Yeah, so like for me, the big takeaway from here is Resi. Like as I've discussed many times on this show, is that with Silent Hill not being around, Resident Evil has become my default franchise for horror. And after coming off Resident Evil 2 and 3 and fucking loving them, and Resident Evil 7, of course, I am just balls deep ready to go for anything. So here, once we hear about the idea of Resident Evil 4 Remake, when disappointed it's the back end of 2022, with presumably it's looking like the Resident Evil 8 is probably April of next year, and with sort of that early release frame that they've been having for Resident Evil. Resident Evil 2 was January, Resident Evil 3 Remake was in February, something like that, and then Resident Evil 7 originally was in January as well. They're really nailing that early part of the year. And I think that's a great untapped window. And so it's a bit disappointing to hear it pushed to the back of 2022. However, with COVID and all the sort of pandemic and working from home sort of stuff, I imagine that a lot of these have been pushed back to accordingly. Like Monster Hunter 6, I would imagine had wanted to be sooner. But like that seems like it would be a really good back ender for 2021. 2022. But Q2 2023 is not too bad. It's about the same time of the year as the other one released, but I don't know. It's one of those situations of like those years also seem so far away that I don't know. It's tough to care. It's tough to commit.
Yeah.
Like right now, just give me a date for Resident Evil 8, and then I'm like, excited. And then you can tell me about what's happening. Like Mega Man, mad. It looks. I'm gonna say with a name like presumably Mega Man Match or Rockman Match. I doubt that's going to be a full numbered sequel. It's gonna be like a little spin-off something. Onimusha, I don't know many people are big fans. Street Fighter makes total sense. It's been a while since I've had a Street Fighter. People are going to get super stoked on that. And then, of course, 2 more other versions is a pretty stock standard setup.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see which of these come to fruition because obviously a lot of things, get cancelled before they see the light of day. It'll be interesting to see which of these makes the cut.
Like, and it's using Resident Evil specifically, it does make me consider like how many teams they have, what their plan is, because right now they'd be wrapping up, presumably, if it is hitting April of next year, like it's looking to be, they'll be wrapping up production on Resident Evil 8.
Village,
Resident Evil Village,
yeah.
Right? So then you presumably have a secondary team working on Resident 4 Remake. And then once they're finished with Village, they'll move on to what is presumably 9, which in this case could be fucking Resident Evil Hank or Biohazard Apocalypse. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really seem like good names for us next one, Because like how Village
Resident Evil Hank definitely sounds like a spin-off.
Yeah, it sounds like
it sounds like in the same vein of like Code Veronica or it's Hank's obviously a character very very deep in Resident Evil lore.
I hope it's a spin-off to Breaking Bad with Hank, and it's just you searching for minerals. Deep cut reference there for Breaking Bad fans. That's what I'd like to see.
He's got to fight them blue zombies.
Yeah. Look, I think there's a lot that we don't know, but it's nice to know that they have simultaneous development on a number of different properties, and like that's a big win for me. Just like cool, and then cool. So I know for at least the next 4 years, I'm going to be able to get all the Resident Evilness that I need. Because the answer is I need it. I do need it. Come to realize.
Right.
Oh, side note. It's not related to anything. I totally bought a book this week. I bought my son the God of War B is for Boy. It's a child's picture book about literally the story of the God of War 2018 in 30 pages. And it is just as emotionally powerful as the game, but in a book. I say that because I have a big soft spot for the game anyway. But it's just these little things like, where are we here? It's like A is for axe, steadfast and true, and B is for bow, which your mother made for you. And I'm like, she did make it for him. Just all these little things. It's like, H is for her memory between us. Do not mistake my silence for lack of grief. It is not something I wish to discuss. And I'm like, oh my God. But where is it?
Seems a bit heavy for a children's book.
It is very heavy for a child's book, but I fucking love it. Like, because I love the story.
Is that what this week's stream is? Story time with Ryan?
Yeah, and like here, P is for protect you from enemies from my past because the things I left out are too dark and too vast. I'm like, oh, it's so good. I mean? Like S is for start over, which I would like to do. There must be good gods to point out. I count maybe 2. For V is for vengeance. Nothing is down that path but doom. It's like, oh, so fucking good. Like, I don't think my son didn't really care. He was trying to play Spider-Man at the time. But I'm just like, can we please talk about this? It's so good. So damn good. I love it. Love it.
Right. Moving on. Let's
unrelated to the story, but...
Oh, yeah, completely unrelated. Let's talk about IO Interactive. So developer IO Interactive announced earlier this week that its next project announced its next project, and its name is it's a James Bond game currently going by the name of Project 007.
Oh, you no way you would have guessed if you just heard the project name.
No. Appears to be very early in development, as the studio is currently recruiting talent for the title. The official website reads, quote, featuring a wholly original Bond story, players will step into the shoes of the world's favorite secret agent to earn their 00 status in the very first James Bond origin story.
Ooh.
IO Interactive has confirmed that it's targeting, quote, modern systems and platforms. It will also run on the Glacier engine, which is currently powering the Hitman franchise. Quote, creating an original Bond game is a monumental undertaking, and I truly believe that IO Interactive, working closely with our creative partners at Eon and MGM, can deliver something extremely special for our players and communities, said the studio CEO Hakan Abrak. Quote, our passionate team is excited to unleash their creativity into the iconic James Bond universe and craft the most ambitious game in the history of our studio.
I think they probably are the best studio to spend time with it. Like, Hitman in some ways feels very James Bondy.
See, I'm curious if it's just going to be a reskinned Hitman. Like, they're just going to give Agent 46 some hair, and he's going to be Bond now?
Agent 47.
Agent 47, sorry.
Well, like, it's...
Yeah, are they just going to give him some hair and now he's Bond?
Or they just remake GoldenEye, which they've already done before, but they'll just do it again. I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I'm like, that's interesting, but, like, they seem like the right people to handle it.
Oh, they're 100% the right people to handle it.
It's like in the same vein, like, using Spider-Man again. Like, Insomniac, you look at Sunset Overdrive. Sunset Overdrive is essentially the beta for what becomes Spider-Man. And like maybe Hitman, even though they've made like 11 of them, it's like this is the stepping stone to something cool. And having that added franchise on there may make it hit a different demo. People might be like, oh, I love James Bond, I'll play that. And they're, oh man, I'll play Hitman, I guess. Like that's awesome. And the idea of get to have cool cars and guns and gadgets and stuff, because like Hitman does have gadgets. He has guns, and I don't think he has cool cars, but like it's the DNA is there. But yeah, you are right. The separation of it from Hitman would be the big hurdle. But in terms of the origin story, it's something that's never really been touched upon in the movies, from my understanding anyway. Like, they sprinkled it a little bit in Skyfall, I believe it was, where like they sort of returned to like the childhood home of James Bond, or that particular James Bond. Because like I know there's also that conspiracy theory that James Bond is not the actual name of the person, it's the title that is given to you, along with 007. So like, yeah, with Daniel Craig, like they go to his home, there's a big fucking fight there, and it's awesome. So like I that part has me interested, but then it may also shoot in the face of that awesome theory is that you come in as Ryan Betson, but you leave as James Bond because you are renamed, you are taking this title, and that's who you become.
Yeah. So
I don't know how they're going to handle the origin story with that. I'll do the next one because that seems like a good one for you. Far Cry 6, Max. It was originally set for release in February of next year, Feb 18th to be exact, but has since recently got pushed back, launching somewhere between the end of April and September. However, we now may have a more definitive date. Thanks to the Microsoft Store page, the release date is currently showing as the 25th of May or the 26th of May, depending on where you are in the world. There's reason to believe that this is legit, as the Microsoft Store online store has leaked a series of details in the past, and it seems we'll be taking a trip to Yara in about 6 months' time. Of course, this is still yet to be confirmed by Ubisoft. There is.
So I jumped on the Microsoft Store this morning. That date is still up.
It's still up?
It's still up.
Well, that's interesting as well, because that isn't a standard placeholder date. So standard placeholder dates, for those that may not know, or those playing at home, is the end of March, the end of June, the end of September, and the end of December. Like, it's 3-month intervals. That's Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. So if something gets randomly put at the back end of December, you're like, well, it's coming out this year at some point, or at least in Q4. Like,
for those playing at home, 25th of May is a Tuesday.
That kind of works. Games release on Tuesdays and Fridays these days. Actually, games release almost every day of the week, but primarily it's Tuesdays and Fridays. So That's pretty reliable as well. I'll take that. I'm not angry about this at all. It's not a substantial delay. It's only 2 months, which is good. It does still fit within that next financial year. I think it's probably a good amount of time. It's deep enough in the next gen to be sort of feasible, but it's not so far away that it's unrealistic for most people. I'd be happy with that. I'd wait for something official, but I like the sounds of it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah, so with that indefinite delay, I think it may be a situation of we don't know how COVID is going to affect us. Yeah. And then presumably they're like, actually, we're kind of doing okay. And this may be the date. But until it's confirmed by Ubi or starts appearing in other sources, that's probably the different thing.
Demon Souls, Ryan.
Yes.
Should Demon Souls have an easy mode?
As a shit player, possibly. But also
it's something that Bluepoint Games considered when developing the PlayStation 5 remake of the classic title. In an interview with the Washington Post, creative director Gavin Moore is asked about whether an easy mode was ever part of the game. Obviously, we know that the studio decided against it, but an easy difficulty was part of the conversation at one point. Moore explains that while some changes have been made to Demon Souls, Bluepoint's main aim was to, quote, preserve the spirit and intent of the original creators. While we considered and discussed an easy mode, we ultimately decided that it wasn't our place, merely being custodians for this amazing game, to add something that would fundamentally alter its balance. So this has been an argument for years, especially revolving around the likes of the Soulsborne games of why do they not have an easy mode? They're so inaccessible to some people. Putting in an easy mode doesn't hurt your experience. Why do you get so mad that people bring it up? And I think at the end of the day, not all art is for everyone. And if this was their vision for their game, I don't see why they need to put it in. Yes, it sucks. Yes, they're cutting off a ton of potential customers and players from ever, partaking in their art, for better sense of it, for lack of a better term. But that's the choice that they made to stick with, their what's the word I'm looking for? Their creative. The
creative vision, what they want.
Their creative vision. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
And I'm in a similar boat. I agree with you. Not everything is for everyone, and that's certainly the case. And yes, I understand that there will be people that miss out because of it, because of accessibility, in terms of maybe they're not able bodies, so they may not be able to play the game that efficiently. That sucks. I'm able-bodied, and the game's not for me. You know what I mean? But the difference is I have the choice to play it if I want to. So I understand it from that perspective, as in in terms of accessibility, big time. But I strongly disagree with people being all uppity about it and being like, well, this you just get good. I'm like, well, fuck you, man. That's not how this works. Like the idea of these elite hardcore gamers that can just somehow play this game better than you, therefore you can't play it. That's the fucking wrong attitude. In terms, I agree with you in terms of the creative vision. If you as a creator go, this is the game that I want to deliver, and part of my creative vision is this game is difficult. That's what it is. Back in the day, that was not an issue. In the 80s, we made, fucking Mega Man, and we made Mega Man hard on purpose because that's what we wanted to do. And in the same way, there are games that are easy by design, or easier by design, I should say. And that's perfectly fine. Not everything is for everyone, and that's perfectly fine. That's how I know that seems really counterproductive, but I kind of am in that vein.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But once again, that comes from me knowingly understanding my privilege, as they say. I am the majority. I am, in terms of my capabilities, I couldn't be any more the fucking average person. So my stance on it is a little bit varied. Now, granted, I work with individuals who have ability challenges, and some of them still play. They make it work. Yeah, man. It's if anything, that's a better challenge. If they're like, well, I can finish Demon Souls. I have a disability and I can still finish the game. Can you? No. Yeah, and I understand for many people, be able to finish their game on hard or whatever is a badge of honor. And if that's the case, that's odd for you. But good on you, I guess. You're fucking weird about it, but that's fine. that's a problem. Like, that's something that they need to reflect upon. But it's weird because I there are weird sects within the gaming space where, like, there's super, idealistic utopia where it's like everyone should play. Everyone should be able to play on everything. But then in the same breath, like, everyone should play everything except Demon Souls. You can't play Demon Souls unless you're good. So, like, there's a lot of contradiction within the gaming sphere itself.
Yeah, it's hard because, like, you see all these people to go to the opposite end of the spectrum that are like, I finished Demon Souls without taking any damage, and I was playing on a Guitar Hero controller.
Like,
I'm
fucking
like,
good for you.
I'm like, awesome.
What do you want me to do about it? Do you want a medal? Like, do you want a fucking badge? Like,
don't get me wrong, they are incredible to watch. Like, I watched someone finish it with, like, the Dance Dance Revolution, Matt. Like,
yeah, and that shit's cool for their self-achievement, but using that as an avenue to bring someone else down, which from my
I agree entirely.
Like, what's the name of the gentleman? Is that, I think I want to say Laserbeam, but I don't think it is. Like the Australian dude that, like, just makes cool controllers for things and plays it, like, yeah, he does that. He's like, I'm gonna make a fucking Guitar Hero controller that can do this, and he plays games. But at no point have I ever seen him be like, well, did you finish it and fought with a fucking controller out my butt, and I use only my sphincter muscles to play Demon Souls and I didn't get any damage? Like, no, because for most people, they're like, that is not a brag. That's embarrassing for you.
Yeah,
that's how I see it anyway. Like, right,
I'm the same.
That's why my barrier is so low. It's like, did I get credits? Yeah. Woo! Did you play on easy? Probably. Who the fuck do I have to prove to?
Don't get me wrong. There is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, of course not.
I have no problem. And a lot of games these days are foregoing those trophies that are tied to difficulty. It's just finish the game. That's all we want. We just want you to finish the game.
Like 4 of them have removed it. You just finish the game. Yeah. Which is mad, obviously, because they come to realize the data is that no one finishes the game. So, like, well, if we just incentivize to do it at any level, they're probably going to be all right. But yeah,
and like these days, generally speaking, most games don't lock you into the difficulty that you set at the start of the game. If you select, medium or whatever the normal thing that the developers have recommended. If you're finding it too easy, you can bump that up. If you're finding it too difficult, you can bring it down. Or if you're just there to enjoy the story, you drop it down. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So for that reason,
play your game the way you want to play it.
Yeah, and like
assuming that your game allows that.
That's within the creative vision of the company. They're like, well, yeah. we want our game to be played by anyone, and for that reason, we've put all these things in it to make it work, and that's mad. Yeah. And then it's the same idea of, like, Dark Souls or Forum Software, whoever, they're like, this is the vision that we had for the game. It's hard on purpose. There is a learning curve, and it's going to kick your ass. That's the whole point. It's that risk reward. And then my response to that is, mad. That's your vision, and you are sticking to it. And that's brilliant. And, like, I can't fault you for it, because I don't stick to my own shit all the time. I'm a massive hypocrite is what I'm getting at. All right, that's I'm going to actually. I think we'll back end the show with our literal Game Awards prediction. So we'll come back to him.
All right, cool.
So GTA Online, Max, it's still going. It's not the native next gen version isn't here, but it's still releasing. So they're saying that GTA Online's biggest ever update will launch on the 15th of December on the PS5. You've written here, Max.
That is specifically what the article said.
As Rockstar Games remedies the Cayo Persio heist. This will be a massive branch of missions set on an entirely new island. The press teases, quote, prepare to infiltrate the remote island compound of the world's most notorious drug dealer in GTA Online's biggest, most daring and action-packed edition yet. The Cayo Persio heist. The blurb continues, it's up to you to find the way to breach Cayo Persio, one of the most secure private islands in the entire world. Evade or neutralize the heavily armed security forces stationed there, and escape with the valuable evidence along with as much art, gold, and drug money as you can carry. Choose your tools, choose your approach, choose your crew, or even go in it entirely alone. Just make it back to Los Santos in one piece. Does this get you all moist?
So me and my group of friends were talking about this morning. We're all re-downloading GTA 5, ready for the new heist.
I have not installed it off the PS4 yet, so bam. Obviously can't put it on the PS5, but hopefully Hopefully it still comes to the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down for this. You had me the idea of just doing it alone. Because, like, the shittiest thing about the heist and stuff right now is I need to play with people. And, like, if you're not free to play, I don't fuck anyone else that wants to play.
I mean, I don't blame you for not wanting to play with just Cass. Like,
God damn it! I know,
acceptable.
no, Cass is fine. I do enjoy.
So do you want me to
playing it?
Do you want to jump into the quick bits before we do Game Awards
Yeah,
stuff?
do quick bitties, and then we'll back end it with the Game Award predictions. I'll pull up the full list of the nominees and everything.
Cool. So quick bits. PlayStation Productions has now officially sold its previously announced first season of The Last of Us to HBO.
Get excited.
Kate Bishop is heading to Marvel Avengers for free on the 8th of December.
So finally getting the DLC for Avengers.
With Clint's coming early 2021.
Yep. So Kate Bishop has a similar skill set.
Yeah. I think she's just, yeah. New gameplay footage for Cyberpunk is out thanks to the new Cyberpunk live wire thingamajig that happened earlier this week.
I saw a screenshot. Keanu looked average.
Average. Cyberpunk will also have a streamer mode to block all copyright music whilst you're streaming, so you won't get DMCA'd.
Right now, I really want to play Fuser. I wouldn't mind streaming Fuser, but I can't because that
heaps
shit
of people
DMCA
are
so hard.
heaps of people are streaming Fuser.
Dude, you know what's baffling?
There's obviously a way around it.
Like Twitch is just like we're gonna strike everyone and everything. There's people that just do DJ sets. And they're not getting hit. And they're getting subs, they're getting money and everything. I'm like, how are they getting hit? Yeah, John Fuckface over there plays a game for 10 seconds and he gets reamed.
Yeah. And Persona 5 Scramble to get an English release in February of 2021.
Oh, that's sweet Max news.
Yep. And then somehow I've managed to cut off the top 10 games.
It's right, I can see it from here though. So the top 10 best-selling PS4 games for the week ending the 15th of November 2020. Not the PS5. I have tweeted at PlayStation Australia twice now, and they ain't responded. Probably because they're like, fuck this guy, I don't want to talk to him. He keeps complaining about his PS5 overheating, whatever. So no PS5 list, but there's only like 9 games in the PS5 right now, so it's not even a full list. Number 10, NBA 2K21. Number 9, Ghost of Tsushima. Number 8, Grand Theft Auto 5. Number 7, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. Number 6, Watch Dogs Legion. Number 5, Yakuza 7, Like a Dragon. Number 4, FIFA 2021. Yes, FIFA 21. Number 3, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Number 2, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And to the surprise of fucking no one, number 1 is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. No surprise there. Not even remotely like.
No.
Alrighty. So let's move along into the Game Awards. Let's have a look at the nominees here. Now, we are just going to go from bottom to top, ending with our game of the year. So this week, Jeff Keighley revealed all of the big nominees for all the categories, which is mad. Let me just zoom out so I can see them all in one picture. There we go. Way too. Come on, screen. Wow, this website does not really work well for scaling. All right, this
website is horrendous for loading too. There's so many moving parts on it. It takes
it's rough. All right, so let's just go down to it's all esports. I don't give a fuck about you. All right, esports, whatever. All right, here we go. So
we're not going to go through the whole list, are you?
Fuck yeah.
The list is huge.
Yeah, we'll just go through the ones.
The list is huge.
We'll go through the ones of major note, right? So, like, best debut game, Carry On, Mortal Shell. I'm gonna have to bring this over here because it's not. It needs to be widescreen. Best debut game is Carry On, Mortal Shell, Raji, Roki, and Phasmophobia. What do you reckon, Max?
I've played 3 of the games on the list. My personal vote is Mortal Shell, being a Souls-like game. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. But with how much of a breakout hit Phasmophobia has been on Steam, I have a feeling that might take it.
Yeah, I've not played any of these, so mine would be a complete guess. Now, my understanding is Phasmophobia has had a little bit of a breakout year, but it's a situation of, like, apparently it's a bit buggy and a bit broken in some spaces, but from all accounts, Mortal Shell is pretty tight.
Well, apparently, Mortal Shell, there was such high demand that they decided to do an actual physical product line of it. They were originally going to release it as a digital only.
And that sounds like that's positive comparatively, so big up for that. Content Creator of the Year. Alana Pierce, Jay Arn Lopez, Nick Merckx, Tim the Tapman, and Valkyrie. Shout out to, on a side note, to Alana Pierce. This is essentially her last moments as a content creator. As she has,
I mean, technically, she's still going to be creating content.
Yeah, so she's officially now a writer at Sony Santa Monica, presumably part of God of War and whatever is moving forward. So my pick is for her. I think she should take this because she has done a lot from her time here in Australia, working for little dudes, little websites and stuff. I think GameBug was one of them back in the day. And then she became an Xbox sort of ambassador, which she then moved to the US and did IGN and Rooster Teeth and Inside Gaming and stuff like that. And now she's gone all into being a writer for Santa Monica. Now, even though I love Tim the Tap Man, I used to watch a lot of his stuff back in the day, and his music for when he received a sub or a tier 3 sub and he does a little dance, absolute winner. I really love it. But I think in this circumstance specifically, knowing how tight Alana is with also a lot of the people involved in the awards, I kind of see him giving it to her.
Yeah, I'm the same boat.
Yeah. Best multiplayer game: Animal Crossing New Horizons, Among Us, Call of Duty Warzone, Fall Guys, Ultimate Knockout, and Valorant.
See, this is really hard because obviously Animal Crossing was huge this year.
Yeah, it was.
Like, absolutely huge. And obviously, Fall Guys had that massive launch. They came out free to PlayStation Plus. Among Us has been on every single person's Twitch stream for the last X amount of months due to lockdown. It's really hard to call. My pick, it's probably going to be between Among Us and Fall Guys.
Yeah, because what the description here goes for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of game genre or platform. So they're essentially like, what has been the best shared experience? And I think Animal Crossing is certainly a shared experience. Fall Guys was really good at the start, but it has seen a bit of a drop off. I'm going to say it's probably going to be Among Us. I think from a consistent support, a complete surprise out of nowhere, and the amount of people that are getting involved and activated within this is also chat. Let us know what your picks are too. We'd love to know if you are still watching. So for that reason, I would put Among Us in that. I think its life cycle has strengthened way past Fall Guys and also past Animal Crossing. Even though Animal Crossing sold incredibly well, it sold more than any individual PlayStation 4 first-party game ever. Or any PlayStation first-party game ever, I should say. Yeah. So Jess is in the same boat. She believes that Among Us or Animal Crossing, and the puck goes. I had an issue picking Among Us because it isn't from this year. Granted, it did take off this year, but he's also being a stickler. And I think
technically, the Call of Duty
Warzone
title isn't from this year either.
It's very true. Best sports / racing game: Dirt 5, Formula 1 2020, FIFA 21. NBA 2K21 or Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2?
It'll probably go to like FIFA or NBA. Personally, my vote would be Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
I think Tony Hawk. Mostly because
you reckon the nostalgia will kick everyone into voting for it?
We talk about how FIFA, like, wasn't there a thing where the people just were copying and pasting reviews of last year because nothing has changed in FIFA, and NBA being so littered in microtransactions, and there's a lot of bad taste in people's mouth about that game, regardless of how good it is.
Yeah.
And I think that alone might be a deterrent. But I think Tony Hawk's Pro Skater came at a time when people wanted it, people loved it, it respected where it came from, and I think that's probably a big part. And Jess in the chat agrees with me there as well. Best sim strategy, I have fucking idea, I don't play them. But Crusader Kings, Desperados 3, Gears Tactics, Fight Sim, or XCOM. Flight Sim. What they've done is a straight up achievement. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I think for sim strategy, Flight Simulator is an easy pick. Crusader Kings 3 is also a fantastic game.
Best family: Animal Crossing New Horizons, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, Minecraft Dungeons, why did I say that so weird? Paper Mario The Origami King, Animal Crossing.
Yeah, Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing is not going to win Game of the Year or anything, so I think this is just like most Nintendo games, they tend to come out here in the best family game. Easy done. Best fighting game, I couldn't care at all. I don't think I could. Best role playing game. So for the best game designed with rich player character customization and progression, including massive multiplayer experiences. All right, so I want to stipulate that because like rich player character customization and progression are the key words there. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Genshin Impact, Persona 5 Royal, Wasteland 3, or Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Well, see, this one's hard. I've played 4 of the 5 games, Yakuza being the only one I haven't played. And Genshin Impact made such a huge splash when it came out. I can actually see that taking it.
Yeah. I think that...
as much as it's just a gacha game, and all the characters are, completely random if you're going to get them or not, there is so much customization and progression in that game. And the way it took off, I have a feeling that could do it.
I would agree with you.
As much of a fan of Final Fantasy and Persona that I am, I have a feeling that Genshin will take it.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it is for free as Jess adds as well. So like, I do think Genshin Impact will have a big swing in that direction, or it should. However, I do think the collective nerd bonus for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
It's also up for
through.
Best mobile game.
Yeah, so I think the boner people have for Final Fantasy will give it the win. Best action adventure game: Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ghost of Tsushima, Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and The Last of Us Part 2. Once again, for the best action adventure game combining combat and traversal, combat with traversal and puzzle solving. I know that's a generic enough statement to like be anything, but there is some wording there.
I have a feeling that Last of Us 2 is gonna take a lot of awards that they're nominated for.
I agree mostly, even though like I enjoy Last of Us Part 2 and I thought the fan game was great. I do think and although the public consensus is a little bit different, I do think the people that loved it the most were the critics, and this is the big nominees for this are critics and reviewers. So I think for that reason, Last of Us is probably going to take it here. Jess says Valhalla, so I know she's having a great time with it. But it's interesting, this is the only thing that Jedi Fallen Order got a nomination for. It did have cool puzzle solving. It did have good combat. It did have cool traversal. It kind of ticks all the boxes in that sense. The Last of Us didn't really have puzzles or anything. But like, if you want to go that specific, right, about what they say. Mm-hmm. But the answer is probably The Last of Us. Best action: Doom Eternal, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, Neo 2, or Streets of Rage 4.
I would like to see Neo 2 pick this up, but I have a feeling it'll be Doom Eternal.
Yeah, I'm putting between Doom Eternal or Hades. Apparently Hades is getting a real love.
Hades is nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah, and the problem is I'm not going to play it. What's on PC? So I'm like, I ain't going to play it. Because I'm that guy. I'm that asshole. But yeah, Doom Eternal, because once again, for the best game in action genre, focused primarily on combat. And Doom Eternal did improve in almost every way from Doom 2016. So for that reason, I would put Doom Eternal as the winner. But I do think Hades may take it. Innovation in accessibility: Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Grounded, Hyperdot, Last of Us Part 2, Watch Dogs Legion.
Obviously, Last of Us Part 2.
Last of Us Part 2, that's an easy. The level of detail and care they took in that game.
As well as as great of a job as Assassin's Creed Valhalla has done in its accessibility, because it happened after Last of Us Part 2, it's like it's the new standard. So
yeah, and
it's hard
adds,
to...
So Puck, the Reverend Puck in the chat adds, The Last of Us is the reason that category was made, and I'd agree, because you could essentially be blind and play that game.
Yeah.
And still have a good time. And that is huge. Best VR/AR game: Dreams, Half-Life Alyx, Marvel's Iron Man VR, Star Wars Squadrons, or Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. They really only had 2 games here that were relevant. They just
it's clearly Half-Life Alyx.
Oh, it's Half-Life Alyx. It's not Iron Man, let me tell you that. Like, it's not Dreams. Squadrons is dope, but like, what the fuck is Walking Dead Saints and Sinners?
It's Half-Life Alyx. There's no...
Yeah, that's because it's not going to get... It was snubbed for Game of the Year by many people have claimed, so it's a situation of like Half-Life Alyx is going to get the win here. That's the only one that's going to get clear. Best community support: Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Fall Guys, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, Valorant. Fall Guys.
Fall Guys.
Fall Guys and their love and their community focus, especially on social media, they are 100% getting the win there. And Jess agrees as well, which is great. Best mobile game: Among Us, Call of Duty Mobile, Genshin Impact, Legends of Runeterra, or Pokemon Cafe Mix.
It'll be Genshin Impact or Among Us.
It'll be Genshin. I'm pretty confident it's Genshin. Like Fall Guys, I think might be a situation of Fall Guys might get the other one and Genshin will get this one, or vice versa. I think there'll be a situation of like you pick between the two. Best independent game: Carry On, Fall Guys, Hades, Splunky 2, or Spiritfarer.
Hades has got this in the bag.
Oh yeah, when Hades has got Game of the Year nom, you know it's getting fucking best indie. Best ongoing title: Apex Legend, Destiny 2, Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, or No Man's Sky. Now I don't play any ongoing games, so I'm reliant on you here, dude.
I'd like to see Destiny 2 win it, but it's more likely to be Fortnite or Warzone.
Really?
Just because,
not Apex? I thought Apex gets the love.
I guess I haven't actually played Apex in so long, but I know that Warzone and Fortnite get updated and worked on a lot more often than what Destiny sees its content drops. Because it's hard because they specifically say awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time, and obviously all of these games have that. It's just some do it faster than the other. It's really nice to see No Man's Sky still in there.
Well, No Man's Sky has been received incredible support and content. To me, if you want content that evolves, you look at No Man's Sky. Like, that is not the same game as when it launched. Like, Fortnite is still the same game. They just give out different skins. So they give you ongoing support in different skins. Call of Duty Warzone is kind of the same. Destiny 2 has released a series of DLCs. And since separating from Activision, they've completely changed their entire approach. Apex just gives you new characters. So it's a situation of like, by definition of what they've put here, it should be No Man's Sky. But I have a feeling it'd probably be like, Destiny or Fortnite or something. Probably Apex. I'm going to say Apex, I guess. Games for Impact. I haven't played any of these, so I don't have an answer.
I've only heard about Spiritfarer, and apparently that is an incredible game.
Yeah, I've heard of Tell Me Why. It was on the Xbox Games Pass, and apparently it's like just more of like Life is Strange, sort of like what Don't Nod did.
Yeah.
Puck adds in the chat, I went with Destiny because I'm a fanboy, but Apex seems to be crushing it. I think that's the big difference. I didn't hear anybody complain about Apex. Best performance: Ashley Johnson as Ellie in The Last of Us Part 2. Laura Bailey as Abby in The Last of Us Part 2. Daisuke Tsuji as Jin Sakai in Ghost of Tsushima. Logan Cunningham as Hades in Hades. And Naji Jetta as Miles Morales in Spider-Man's Miles Morales.
My pick is Laura Bailey as Abby.
I think she'll get it, and it'll be so controversial. Everyone will crack the shits, but like, I think it's probably spot on. Like, Jin Sakai, I thought was a really bland character. I didn't fucking care for him at all. And he's just stoic. So I guess in terms of playing in a samurai, he was very stoic and very like, I am the man. And like, it's kind of expected, right? But like, I think Laura Bailey should probably get it just as a nod to be like, everyone shut on you for no reason. You're like, if you want a character that gives us such an incredible and overwhelming performance that you start the game hating her and you end the game understanding her, or connecting to her, or not agreeing with her, but like showing empathy towards her, that's performance. It's like with Ellie at the start of the game, at the end of the game, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, in terms of a genuine connection to the character, like the performance was great. Ashley Johnson smashed it again, but it's just not quite there. You know what I mean? In terms of a noticeable performance. Miles Morales, really good, really enjoying it. Well, I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of subtleties in his performance that I really liked, and like I can certainly see why he's been nominated for said performances, but I am pretty confident that Laura Bailey will probably take that as Abby.
Yeah.
Mostly even just for like the shit that it would bring. Just be like, rub it in everyone's fucking face. Best audio design: Doom Eternal, Half-Life Alyx, Ghost of Tsushima, Resident Evil 3, The Last of Us Part 2.
So it's hard. I've only really played. I played all of them except for Half-Life Alyx. It would probably be between Doom and Last of Us. I think Last of Us will probably take it.
Yeah, so from recollection, like Doom Eternal, obviously really good. I love the the music and the audio design, like in terms of how those guns work, mad,
Yeah.
brilliant, love it. Half-Life Alex, once again with a VR setup, good audio design is incredibly important. So maybe we'll get a sneaky win here for that. Resident Evil 3, I really didn't think had great audio design, so it's really bizarre that it's in there. Ghost of Tsushima, sure, okay, whatever.
Sure, okay, whatever.
Yeah, like sound wasn't something that won me over in that game.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, you've got to also separate that this isn't music and score. This is just game sound design.
That's my point. Like, I don't remember hearing like different different Mongols, different directions, giving me this sense of of intensity.
Yeah.
Where like Doom Eternal, I remember everything about that audio. Whether it be just music, not just musical, whether it be audio design in general, like it's just like amazing. But Last of Us probably get that one too. Here you go. Best score and music: Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, or The Last of Us Part 2.
So I really love the Final Fantasy music, but I think Doom or Hades will take this one.
I don't think Doom will take it. I personally don't believe the Doom Eternal soundtrack was as good as the original. The original straight up fucking deserved it. 2016 Doom was impeccable with its music, where Doom Eternal didn't quite bring it the same way. Gustavo for Last of Us Part 2, his music is fantastic. It's simple, it's beautiful, and like it emotionally pulls on your heartstrings in so many ways when you're playing that game. But once again, everyone has such a fucking hard on for the music of Final Fantasy VII that I see like nostalgia alone and straight up biases will see Final Fantasy VII get the win there.
Yeah.
Best art direction, so best outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and The Last of Us Part 2.
I could see either Hades or Ori taking this one.
I see Hades taking this. I do think Ghost of Tsushima had an incredible art direction. Like when you sort of, as you head around Tsushima Island, there is a lot there. There's a lot to see, a lot of cool colors and design. And I remember that being one of its biggest compliments. And Last of Us Part 2, obviously visually stunning. Like if there's a word for like, I think it's there most because everyone looks so realistic in like, but if there was like technical prowess sort of technical prowess award, I'd probably give it to Last of Us for that reason. But also seeing Final Fantasy VII go from what it looked like on PS1 to what it looked like on PS4. But I'm gonna go either Hades or Ghost of Tsushima. Probably Hades.
Yeah.
Best narrative: 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Last of Us Part 2.
See, again, this one's hard. I really like the subtle changes that they made to the Final Fantasy VII Remake story. I have no idea what 13 Sentinels is. I can't comment to Ghost of Tsushima as I haven't finished the story. I think people will lose their minds if Last of Us Part 2 wins Best Narrative.
And it fucking should. That's my pick.
My pick will be Final Fantasy VII.
Last of Us Part 2, it should win for a number of reasons. A, the story is very good. How they tell the game, how they deliver their narrative and their storytelling in this game specifically is so left of field compared to how other people have been doing their games. One of the biggest points of contention in the game is how it tells the story, because they intentionally went a different way to share the narrative. And I think that alone is respectable. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake, okay, you're a third of a bigger game. Well done. You made subtle differences. Woohoo. Get excited. Like it's not the full version. It's that full version of the remake, but it's not the full version of Final Fantasy VII. I'm sure Hades has a great story in it. Having not played it. Ghost of Tsushima, didn't feel it at all. But just like Excited Kumquat in the chat, the answer is Last of Us. Easy.
Yeah.
And everyone will lose their mind and they can all suck a dick because that game was great. Best game direction: Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Half-Life Alex, or The Last of Us Part 2.
This one's awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. I feel like Half-Life Alyx should get it.
Yeah, in terms of innovation, because it has become essentially the biggest tentpole release for VR, and I think that is innovation and incredible storytelling, especially within that hardware or that medium that is virtual reality. But yeah, I think. But then again, The Last of Us did have such a large creative vision. But then Final Fantasy also had a pretty large creative vision. It lacked innovation, but there's a lot of creative vision there.
Mm.
But then again, it could be Hades for all I know. That's probably The Last of Us. And here it is, Max, the big one, the game of the year. We've got Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing New Horizons, and The Last of Us Part 2.
Last of Us Part 2 will take this one.
Oh, yeah, big time. Yeah, it's Last of Us Part 2. I think Hades is in there as like a, look, you will be the best indie, and like, here's our respect nod for you. Like, that's why you're here. You won't get it, but we're respecting you. And Final Fantasy VII alone is like, yeah, it's Final Fantasy VII. We love you. We'd smooch you if we could, but we can't.
Like, Animal Crossing's reached such a wide audience this year with the whole pandemic thing and everyone using their islands as a way to visit people. There were people, campaigning on Animal Crossing. There were people doing advertisements inside Animal Crossing. Like, Animal Crossing blew up so much this year and really was a crazy experience. But I don't think it'll take it. Yeah, I honestly think Last of Us.
Yeah, so once again, recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. I don't think Animal Crossing, in terms of, if you want to go that way, I don't think it's in terms of its creatively or technically proficient. I don't think it's so remarkable in that sense. From a shared multiplayer experience, yeah, big time. I think Ghost of Tsushima is technically amazing. Like, although I haven't played it, like, its load times, its performance, how it appears visually, how it plays, it's great. Like, it takes a bunch of other mechanics we've seen in lesser games, or varying games, and brought them together in a really great way. Like, you take hints of Assassin's Creed, hints of Shadow of Mordor, like all these different parts are mixed with this beautiful, artistic vision, as well as a technical proficiency in how it runs, how it plays. The combat is awesome. Like, it feels good, it flows good. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII is not in there. Is there purely because everyone has a hard on for it. Doom Eternal, although fantastic, that is a respect nod there as well. They're like, we've achieved. We are very happy with what you've achieved and what you've changed, but you're not winning. The answer is Last of Us Part 2, either from a technical perspective, as the game looked amazing, like uncomparably. There is no other game on the PS4 that looks, as an example, looks as good as The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah. By
leaps and bounds, that game is stunning. And from a creative perspective, yeah, impressive demonstration of technical and creative potential and delivery. So, even though I just jerked off Ghost of Tsushima as well, but once again, I haven't played Hades though. I think Hades is the big thing. The answer is Last of Us.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Upcoming titles for the next week.
Oh yeah, so for those, these are all games that have come out this year and have been doing well. These are the games that are coming to you in the next week, in a section we call Coming to the Players.
We have this came out yesterday. Katamari Damacy Reroll PS4. We have Spirit of the North Enhanced Edition coming to PlayStation 5 November 26th. We have Empire of Sin coming to PS4 December 1st. We have Worms Rumble coming to PS4 and PS5 December 1st. Chronos Before the Ashes coming to PS4 December 1st. Twin Mirror PS4 December 1st. And I think that's it for this week.
Not a whole lot this week, as to be
expected. Not a whole
lot. Sakuna of Rise and Ruin is out now on the PS5. It came out on the 20th. So if you want an actual Game of the Year contender that won't get it because everyone will forget about it next year, go pick that up. It'll certainly be in my Game of the Year list. Let me tell you that much. Because we'll start looking at ours. We probably won't do ours until mid-December or something. But
yeah, we have to wait for Cyberpunk to come out.
Yeah. I love how you just you're excited, but you still know that it's probably not coming.
Yeah, I know. It's just Yeah. One of those things. I just, yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. But yeah, side note, I think I mentioned this already. One thing I've been really seeing and enjoying on the PS4 store right now is all these Kairosoft games coming out of nowhere. So Kairosoft are these little mobile games, like they're like a Game Dev Story and Epic Astro Story and like Mega More. Like they're essentially little like role play, like sim management games. And I fucking love them. And like, I think I may have mentioned it already, but like every week there's a new one, and I'm like, yeah. Like they're like unnecessarily expensive. They're like $19. I'm like, they're like $6 on my phone. Fuck off. But if I had the money, I'd probably buy them and play them again. Game is very good. Anyway,
that's terrible.
I don't know. I'm shameful.
Yeah.
Speaking of, there was a Harvest Moon shirt on Shirt Punch Day, and I don't think I bought it in time. Oh no. You can close out the show.
Just make your own, man. Anyway, this PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you'd like to take part in future conversations, please check out our socials: Facebook, Discord, Instagram, Twitter. All our links in the description below.
If you want to join the conversation as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopculturists, where you can watch us record this show live. You can get in the chat and have a damn good time. If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation pod. If you listen to us on those podcast services, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. If you are on the YouTube, why not like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment that does appear. Additionally, if you want to support us financially, you can. Patreon.com/thepopculturists, as well as our merchandise store, popculturists.com/shop, where you can buy shirts, other sort of shit with our logos on it. Which this week I did sneakily release a new design. It is the Pornhub logo, but the PopCulturists, and I laughed at it so hard when I made it. Like, no one will ever buy it, but for me, I thought it was fucking hysterical and up there, and it's available if anyone wants it for some reason. Because I was thinking about making like an ugly sweater design for Christmas, and then I was like, you know, be funny, porno. So then I made that logo instead. But until next week, I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And that was For the Players. For the Players, the PopCulturists PlayStation podcast is fan-supported at patreon.com/thepopculturists. And we'd like to thank our Patreon producers and our Patreon founders for their kindness, their support, and their generosity. Our Patreon founders: Alpha Ferret, Craig O'Flaherty, David Chataway, Jesse Stevenson, and Jacob Garner. And our Patreon producers: Damien Holdies, Lee Wintershoven, Sean Levitt, and Solomon Barak.